So today we are going to see something about clocks and synchronization in distributed environment. Okay. So basically you would have heard about time. Now in this distributed environment you will need to understand that there are several regions when this time is important. Sometimes see you often measure this time in distributed systems, right? Now see, you want to see which activity was happening at what particular time. You want to order some events, that one particular event should occur after this particular event. So for all these reasons you need to have information of time. Other thing is several algorithms have been developed which work in a way where synchronization is needed. So for all these reasons the information of time and synchronization is important. However, in this distributed environment, if you want to measure time, it is a little problematic. What is the problem? Say, ability to timestamp events at different nodes sufficiently accurately is a problem. That all the nodes are having different clocks, you will see. Now you want to have the same timestamp at all the computer nodes. It is becoming difficult. So for that reason we will have to do something so that we could measure the time. Other thing is we don't actually have any global absolute global time like this. Is it a global time? Okay. In your distributed system means no global time means it is not any global time where all the nodes are following the same time. Okay. Global time will be a time which is being followed by all the nodes of the distributed system. You know? However, that is not true in usual distributed systems. So the thing is we don't have any global time till now. So for these reasons we consider that measuring time is a little problematic. Now the other thing is in this distributed system synchronization is usually done with message passing only. In distributed system we have seen till now that there are several nodes connected with network, connected in a network, and we want to, if we want to do anything, we want to perform some computing on different nodes or anything, we use message passing. We will send some message to from one node to another. So synchronization is something, if you want to achieve it, again we are doing the same thing. We will do it with message passing. We will send some message, and that is the only way we do in distributed system. The other thing is we can capture global states of distributed system. We will see how this is helpful. So these are the few things we will see in this while we go through these lectures on clocks and synchronization. That the synchronization which is being done with help of message passing, and another kind of synchronization which is done with the help of capturing global states. Okay, so let me tell you about clocks. Basically, till now you can understand that computers are there, they interact, and they all these nodes in this network, they have their own clock. Now this clock, you can understand, it is basically having some oscillators which oscillates with some frequency, and depending on the count we try to find out to what is the actual time right now, you know. So basically all these computers, maybe all these nodes we are calling, maybe we have uh, synchronized them manually at some instance with very high accuracy. Okay, but as you can understand, they are depending on the oscillator. This oscillator oscillates with almost similar frequency, but as we are talking about high accuracy in nanoseconds, then this oscillation may get deeper. Okay, so because of this difference in oscillation, this physical clocks of each node may get shifted, means may these physical blocks may have different time at any instance, huh? So this kind of thing is possible. So what is a clock resolution? Clock resolution is the period between the updates of the clock value. Okay, so when we want to update these clocks, the period between them is being called clock resolution. Now this clock updation can be manual or automatic, that is a different thing, but uh, between these two events, whatever this time period is there, that will be called as clock resolution. Now the other thing is clock skew, where we should understand that because of this particular different oscillation, the time gets deferred. So at any instance, at any time, at one particular instance, if you see the two clocks, they have some difference. Okay, so that instantaneous difference between the reading of these two clocks will be called as clock skew. Okay, now the other thing is clock drift. You can understand that our physical clock is that crystal based clock which has oscillator and it oscillates. So there is a particular divergence. Hmm. What actually happens, these oscillators, they will count the time at different rates. Okay, as we have already seen that the frequency may get differ, not only because it has different environment. Actually it may depend on temperature. Because of certain temperature issues, this clock frequency varies. Hmm. Sometimes, and usually also this these frequencies differ from one another. So that is not a concrete thing that yes, all the oscillators everywhere in the corner of the world and in all the computers in any temperature, any environment, they will oscillate with the same frequency. No, it is not true. So because of that reason, So because of that reason, these clocks may drift from their original time. So this not only drift, there will be a rate of drift. So if you think about a clock's drift rate, it will be considered as a change in the actually difference in reading. How much differ is there in the reading. So the difference is changing. Hmm? Originally the difference was just 1 nanosecond, now it is 2 nanosecond, then it is 3 nanosecond. So how this drift is changing, so that will be called as drift rate. So that is the thing about clocks. Now we will go towards coordinated universal time. As I told about these crystal based oscillator clocks, there is something called more accurate clock. We call it atomic clock. Mm. So this is actually, it will have, these clocks will have atomic oscillators which are more accurate. Basically they are saying there is something called I should say 10 to the power 13, right? One part of this thing, it will be considered as means that will be the drift rate of this atomic clock. However, drift rate in these crystal based systems can be about 10 to the power 6, one part of 10 to the power 6 kind of thing, you know. So anyway, which I am saying is atomic oscillators are more accurate. So what happened, UTC, we abbreviate this coordinated universal time as UTC. So this is actually an international standard for timekeeping based on atomic time. So it may also drift a little after some time. So we want to keep it same with the other clocks, standard clocks. So we may insert some leap second or rarely delete some leap seconds from it. So this is something about coordinated universal time. So basically what happens with this UTC international body, they continuously broadcast their time, okay, and they broadcast from radio stations and satellites, different kind in all part of the world, you know. So the receivers can access these information and synchronize their own clocks. So now, how to synchronize these physical clocks, right? For synchronizing these physical clocks, there may be two ways. One is external synchronization, another is internal synchronization. Actually, external synchronization means you want to synchronize your system from an external source, right? Maybe you are synchronizing with the UTC. The only thing is, we will consider a bound. Let us consider there is a bound D, okay. So if this is a bound D, then your time should be less than this bound, means within this bound, right? Okay, let me say your time is t. Okay, your time is t of your computer, so your time can be t plus d or t minus d. Okay, so this is something I am telling you about the bound. D means plus or minus d from your time. So uh, your time and universal time. The universal time should be within this bound t plus minus d. You know? So it actually means your system is synchronized with the universal time within this bound. Okay. There will be something called internal synchronization. In this internal synchronization, again you will have a bound, but it means that you are not synchronizing with an external source. Internally, these systems, these nodes, I should say, these nodes of the network, this distributed system, these nodes are within a bound. Okay, maybe they all differ from the UTC, but they all are synchronized within themselves. Okay, within a bound. If they all are differing from the UTC, they all are differing together. Okay, if they all are synchronized, then they all are synchronized together with the UTC. But the thing is, these all nodes of the system will have will remain synchronized within a bound. Okay, the two nodes, the difference of time between two nodes will not be more than this bound d. Okay, so this is something about external and internal synchronization. If I have to tell you something about these faulty clocks, you can understand that whatever we do, whatever correctness conditions we apply, still if some clock does not work correctly, in that case we call it a faulty clock. Sometimes there are some failures in clock. There may be a crash, the system may crash, and because of that the clock stops ticking. So in that case we call it crash failure, and any other clock failure will be called as arbitrary failure. Still we have not seen how synchronization can be done. External and internal type of synchronization is possible, but how actually this synchronization is done. So let me tell you about synchronizing these synchronous systems. Two things, you will have these bounds on drift rate of clocks. You will also have a known parameter about message transmission delay. Okay, and you will also have a known time required to execute each step of a process. Then you will be able to synchronize your systems correctly. Okay, so what is the process of doing this? It will be very simple. These processes, wherever they are executing, let us assume there will be one server process. Okay, it will have synchronized time, means let us assume its time is correct. So the other process, the one process will send its time, okay, to other. It means one system will send to other. What will happen is I was telling you about the next algorithm that I will tell you about, Christian's algorithm, where one is we will keep one server. But still, for understanding purpose, what I am telling here is, let us assume different processes are there. In between, these process can send time message to each other, you know, to make synchronization among them, you know. So the receiving process, what this receiving process will do, it will update its clock with what time? The time t it has received plus the transmission time, the time required to get transmitted from the time source to the destination. But since it is a network, we cannot always make it concrete that this is only the transmission time always. So we are saying that this transmission time is subject to variation, which can vary, and usually it may be unknown. So for that purpose we will have to consider these few things, and accordingly we will have to update our clocks. Okay. So what we are going to do, there is something called Christian's algorithm. It will help you in synchronizing your clocks. Here in this algorithm we will have a time server. This time server will be externally synchronized with UTC. Since it is externally synchronized, so we assume it is having accurate time. Okay. Now this time server will help other processes to synchronize themselves, right? So what will happen? All other processes, assume it is P, they will send a request message. They will send request message to server. Then this server will respond with the time in the reply message. And when this particular process will receive the time in the reply, it will update it. How will it update? The time received plus the transmission delay. Now we have to understand about the transmission delay. How do we calculate about the transmission delay? So we will have to decide what to do in this situation. One thing is clear, that in ideal condition, the time needed to go from this place, P to server, will be same as the time, the transmission time from S to P. In that case, if we find the total turnaround time, the time where the message request was sent and the reply was received, the total time, then if we say that in between, at some middle way, the particular time was updated. Okay. So keeping this thing in mind, what Christians suggest, that okay, So we will have our time in between the time which we have received here, the time the S sent some time. So there will be, let me write it. You will have, although writing is difficult here, but still the time t that you received, hmm, plus min. Okay. What is it? The minimum time required. Now the other thing is, you also have the information of turnaround time. So your this thing will be between t plus min to t plus turnaround time minus min. Turnaround time, right? Turnaround time and then minus your minimum. So if you are having some time in between this range, your system is synchronized. Okay. Now, okay, I was talking about Christian's algorithm. So in this Christian algorithm, this thing will happen: message was sent and reply was received. The time can be set in between whatever the time that we have received, it is t, and then we can subtract this thing. In fact, what we can do is this thing. This turnaround time is the actually we should understand turnaround time will be 2 times minimum, right? Minimum time required to transmit and minimum time required to receive will be something like same, na? So that will be the minimum time on ideal condition. It will be same, right? So total turnaround time will be more than the minimum, right? So here if you understand the range, this range is between the total turnaround time minus 2 times minimum. And this is acceptable range. Okay. So means for Christian's algorithm. So in this way Christian algorithms work. Now there can be some problem with Christian algorithm. What it can be, actually we have a single server here, right? So if the single server fails, then the whole system will fail, right? So what is suggested is we can have some group of servers. When we will have group of server, then this process which sends the request message, it will send a multicast message which will be sent to all the servers. These servers are externally synchronized by UTC, and in that case these servers will respond, and whatever reply is received, means I should say the first reply which is received, it will be considered. That is also a possible solution. However, one another important thing is from among these servers, if some server is faulty, they are broadcasting false time. They are showing or replying false time, intentionally or unintentionally. In that case, it will create some problem for the network, right? So considering these problems, some solution can be provided, which will be Berkeley algorithm. Now this Berkeley algorithm says that group of servers are there, very nice. Among these computers, we will choose a coordinator computer. Now this coordinator computer will not wait for request, right? What this will do, it will periodically polls, send some poll request to all the other computers, whose clock are to be synchronized. They will be called as slaves. So this master, which is coordinator, will send some poll message to the slaves. Now these slaves need their clock to be synchronized. So what they will do, they will send their clock value to the master. Okay. Now at the master, earlier what was happening in Christian's algorithm, the server was sending the server's time, but now it is not like that. In Berkeley algorithm, what we will do, we will take the process and the time of the slave, right, and we will subtract the time of slave from the time of master, and find out the difference. How much is the difference between the master's clock and slave's clock? So we understand what is the amount of time that the slave should adjust to get synchronized with master. So we find out that particular amount of time, and we send this amount of time to the slave, and the slave actually adjusts its own time accordingly. This time can be positive or negative, maybe I have written in next slide or not, but here what I am telling you is the slave sends the clock value. Now this master tries to find out the amount, how much the clock is has drifted. So what it does, it takes the local time, also observes the round trip time, and then takes the average. Okay, and then this master finds out the amount by which these individual slave clocks have to adjust, and this information is sent back to the slave. Okay, I have not written, but this is what happens. Okay, the master will not send you the exact time. It will send you the amount of time that the slave has to adjust, and this will be a different value for each slave, maybe similar also, but still it will be a different value, and it can be positive or negative. Okay, so this is how this Berkeley algorithm works. So for now it is okay, and thank you. We will see again the other things, something about other synchronization techniques. Thank you.